Another month has come and gone-ish. And it is time for the June episode of Choose Our Own Adventure. Thank you for all you $7 and up patrons, those of you that are left. And we're going to keep this bad boy rolling on for about another 6 more of these, if my math is correct. And we have the usual repertory cast of not ready for not primetime players. Mr. Jermon Jackson, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Just now, exploring HBO Max, which has been pretty fun.
All right. That's something I also have yet to explore. We also have Miss Leslie Ellsworth. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, actually.
All right, then she is doing great. I'm not sure if she means it. We will find out.
I do.
Okay. And then we have our last guest. You know, I'm all over the place today. You're here. And Mr. Brian Martin, how are you doing, sir? I see if you're
it's a hard
A. Are you wearing the 2016 Heroes Con shirt?
It is the 2016 Heroes Con shirt. Yes.
Nailed it.
Good call. All you can see is an arm, I think.
Yeah. Well, I have the 2016 poster.
Yeah.
I think I asked you guys a couple months back, what the 2017 or 18 one was, and I couldn't find it for the life of me. It was right to my left the entire time.
Oh wow! It's always the last place you look.
Right there.
I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting that this would have been Heroes Weekend.
Yeah. This is a sad weekend for all of us Charlotteans that would have went to our yearly tradition of Heroes Con. Where by this time on a Saturday evening, I'm sure we would be out in the streets with libations in hand.
I was going to say out about $500.
I'd have met at least 40 people there, or whatever. Just ran into so many acquaintances and stuff.
We would have ran into Chris Delisle about 19 times by now.
Yes.
When the drink and draw, is that Friday or is that Saturday?
Friday. Drink and draw is usually Friday night.
Okay, so we'd be recovering from drink and draw right now.
Yeah.
All right then. So yeah, sucks that one of our local cons is one of the biggest, still decent comic conventions that it's around. Definitely the best one in this region. But
I definitely miss it. But what are you going to do, right? They finally canceled a few more shows this week, like GalaxyCon Raleigh. Finally canceled. I was like, what are those wackadoodles waiting for? And
they're pushed back to December now.
It's not going to work. I got news for them.
Yeah.
I got news for your whole city of Raleigh.
New Mutants.
Star Wars Celebration punted that ball 2 years.
Yeah.
If we aren't alive in 2 years, it's time to throw in the towel, America.
If we're not alive in 2 years, we would have already thrown in the towel, sir. That's the way time works. Leslie, were you planning on getting down in some con events? Had your mind wandered in the direction of Heroes Con at all?
Oh, yeah, I definitely would have been there. I don't know that there's anything specific that I would have been aiming for. I haven't been to a whole ton of cons, but my usual way to go through is just kind of get there and meander, unless I have a photo op or something. I just kind of like to go through and see who's selling what, see what authors and artists are there, and just kind of take in everything. I love people watching at cons. There's so many great cosplays and just so many excited people. It's really nice.
I kind of envy that approach at this point because I go in and I got business and then if there's some extra time after the business is conducted, then I'll just meander. But the business is everything.
Business is everything.
I've got to strategically pick artists to hit and the order in which I'm going to hit their tables to get on commission lists and things like that. There's a lot of
that makes sense. That makes
turning
sense.
on Friday mornings at Heroes Con, and usually on a normal year, I would take the morning off from work, go to Heroes Con, and I'd be at work by noon with 90% of my business for the weekend conducted already.
Nice.
Efficient Martin.
Yeah.
I'm still in the newbie phase when it comes to comics for the most part. So I look through the bins and see what catches my interest. I don't have specifics in mind that I hunt for yet.
Yeah, I go in there usually with some sort of business planned out. Like I think it was, I guess that'd be 2 years ago. 2 years ago, comic book writer Christopher Sabella was debuting Shanghai Red, and you could get, I think it was the Ash Can, maybe there, or the first whole issue or something like that. And I was like, all right. I hunted down his table on the map, and I was like, I will push every old lady out of the way to make sure I get to that table to get. And I did actually. Yeah, I did, and I ended up getting the sign and all that kind of good stuff. Last year was the Sea of Stars, right? The Jason Aaron joint, also on Image Comics. Everybody was trying to get that Ash Can. I managed to get myself a handful of that too. Brian Orgerman, the name is escaping me. The cat with the fantastic white hair. My mind keeps going Neil Adams, but it's not Neil Adams. Who
is that Steranko?
Yes, Steranko.
Steranko. Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you had meant an actual cat for a second, and I was like, this isn't a furry show. I don't know.
Yes, Leslie, you can, I'm pretty sure you can also get photo ops with Steranko. It's just his hair. His hair.
The way
he's an extra $35.
I remember you pointing him out to me.
Yeah, the way he is dressed, like his fashion sense and all this stuff, you would think he was a spy back in the day.
I was gonna say like an old Italian mobster from back.
He looks like the kind of guy. He looks like the kind of guy who has not stopped using the word dame.
Right on. Well, no Heroes Con this year, unfortunately, but hopefully next Father's Day weekend, which is when Heroes Con traditionally is, we'll be back here lamenting the fact that we drank too much and drew too little at the drink and draw. And we'll put all the lives of Paprika hosts in danger yet again. And of course, we can't get started without giving the big send up to Mr. Ian Holm.
Sir Ian Holm.
Yes, Sir Ian Holm.
Esquire. I understand he was a very wealthy landowner.
Oh, was he really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, Sir Ian Holm. What is you guys' favorite Sir Ian Holm performance?
Gosh, I literally the only thing I even remember him from was the Lord of the Rings stuff. He was OG Bilbo, wasn't he?
He is. He's credited as OG Bilbo Baggins in the end credits. Somewhere around the 9-hour mark, you'll see him come up as Bilbo, OG Bilbo.
And he played him again in the Hobbit movies as in the framing device.
Yeah, because doesn't the Hobbit movies start with him like?
Yeah, him sitting down to write it.
Yeah,
like or something to that effect. Because Frodo's in there too.
That's
really
right.
Really briefly. I liked. I will always remember him as Vito Cornelius in The Fifth Element. The priest in The Fifth Element.
That's right. That's right.
Always enjoyed that.
What about you, Leslie?
He's also in Garden State, which is a film I really enjoy. He plays Zach Braff's father. So he's not in it a ton, but his role in the whole film is enjoyable. But also Lord of the Rings related, but not the films. He was also in a BBC audio drama. I think it's Frodo.
He's Frodo, yeah.
And that is great. That is really great to listen to.
Yeah. He's OG Bilbo and OG Frodo.
Yeah.
For me, it's definitely Ash, man. Because you just think he's a regular ass cat until that fucking head gets knocked sideways. And then you get the
all that milk falls out of him. Yeah,
all that milk and crazy straws coming out of that.
Milk-powered androids. It's the future.
Who knew cows were such a valuable source? We need your energies. We need your energies. All right. So yeah, man, send out to old Ian Holm. You will be missed, sir.
Have a safe journey to the Grey Havens.
Have a safe journey to the Grey Havens. Somebody posted in the Pop Reader group, I think it was Toma, that one little clip from Fellowship where he just says goodbye and then takes the ring off at the party and disappears, and that's all it is. Now it's like,
yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's get into it. We got a couple questions, man. List of questions are getting shorter and shorter as we have less and less patrons. We'll be coming in December to a very smoky end. We'll see what this rickety ass ship is like.
You're like Hindenburg, just
yes, it's like Hindenburg. It's just gonna be one person with 13 questions left. Oh,
Stargate related.
It's all Stargate related. It starts with Ryan Elliott, who, in true Ryan Elliott fashion, keeps his very short, very brief, very to the point, and just leaves us all confused. He says 3 must-own Blu-rays.
Again, are you telling or are you asking?
You're right.
Are you must-own Blu-rays?
No, you only can own 3 Blu-rays, and so we got to throw the rest of ours out. I don't know what we're supposed to do with them. Yeah, hey, we don't make the rules here, man. It's Ryan. Let's start with you, Leslie. What are 3? Apparently, says we got to get rid of them all. What 3 would you be left with?
I would be left with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which luckily only comes on 1 Blu-ray. So I get all the movies there.
Good way to cheat. I like it. Cheating early.
I want to go with Arrival and Saving Private Ryan, because I think all 3 of those movies are going to be even more impactful with the better quality of the Blu-rays than regular DVDs and such.
3 wildly different films as well.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, if I only have 3, I gotta make sure I cover the spectrum.
All right. Oh boy, looking at my list, I did not do that at all. Nope. All right, Mr. Jackson, what did you have?
Yeah, I picked, and see, now I took into account that I'm keeping Blu-ray, so there's certain extra stuff that might help out too. Like my first pick, I chose Unbreakable because while the movie I absolutely love, the extra features are just amazing on there. That documentary they had on superheroes and everything with they had so many great creators on there. So that's one I'm gonna have to keep. Tron Legacy, just because that's always that's my tester Blu-ray right there.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a new TV or something like that, you got to test it out on that with that. And then the 40-Year-Old Virgin I absolutely love that movie. There are so many, it feels, and I'm pretty sure they ad-libbed a lot of that movie. So there's a lot of bloopers and deleted scenes and extra ad-libs and stuff on the extra features that I can just dive into.
And the great thing about that Blu-ray is that when you see 40-Year-Old Virgin on Blu-ray, you can actually count all of the chest hairs.
Yes.
Wow.
Speaking of all the improvising and whatnot, Jermon, here's a little trivia for you. That was the first film ever to hit 1 million feet of film.
Wow.
When they filmed the movie, because they did so many takes and so many differences. And
I can imagine.
Yep, 1 million feet of film. Because
I wonder how much of a script they even had, if they had one.
Yeah, I'm figured it was pretty bare bones, and they just let those dudes do what they do. Good calls, sir. All good calls. Brian, what you got?
Well, mine are all based on image quality and sound, mostly, because I'm thinking Blu-rays. He asked about Blu-rays specifically, not about DVDs. So I'm not necessarily going with my 3 favorite movies of all time, but I'm going with 3 movies that, to me, are maybe the 3 best Blu-rays that I own.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, which may be on your list, I don't know, because it's the reason I bought a Blu-ray player, and I've said this before on past episodes, is the
Conan the Barbarian.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams' first Star Trek movie, which looks gorgeous and sounds terrific. The second one is The Dark Knight, specifically because the scenes, like 4 or 5 scenes of that movie were shot in IMAX, not the whole thing.
Yeah.
But while those IMAX scenes are available on the DVD release, they are actually integrated into the movie on the Blu-ray release. Mm-hmm. So they just the shot gets bigger and you're in the IMAX shot stuff.
Do you remember what ones those were? Because all I remember is the Joker, chasing what we find out is Jim Gordon. That big scene with Slaughter's "The Best Medicine" written on the side of the truck with the rocket propeller grenade. That's one, and I don't know what else is.
Bank heist scene is all like the entire opening of the movie from the time it begins until the end of the bank scene is all. And I want to say the other one is when Batman goes
to China.
Hong Kong, yeah.
Batman Goes to Hong Kong is an Adam West movie, by the way.
That is a weird thing to say about The Dark Knight. Like, people forget that happened in there, but it's like, the fuck is Batman doing? All right. The third one is the 2012 release of Jaws.
Ooh, just had its 45th anniversary.
Well, yeah, like yesterday or something. But that's one of the movies that I bought and I sat down and I put it in with the intention of just watching maybe a couple minutes. But the thing is so goddamn gorgeous. It's just that movie hasn't looked that good since it was in theaters, probably. Like it's an absolutely marvelous looking disc. So those are my three.
Solid lineup. I have very specific rules for my Blu-rays. Rule 1 is nothing before 2006. If you're still filming on physical, get it out of here. And if you're filming on digital, then you might be my guy for Blu-ray. So nothing before 2006. Total Recall, I've said this many times, Total Recall on Blu-ray looks like Total Recall on DVD. And you just wasted that money, like I wasted that money on Total Recall on Blu-ray.
I don't know. That's kind of an unfair comparison. It's kind of like comparing the Blu-ray of the first Blu-ray release of Predator, which where they scrubbed the pictures so much that the characters looked like Pixar creations. And it's not an exaggeration. Like the clothes, like the texture in the clothes was gone. It was wild.
Yeah.
If you can hunt that down, that's like the one you should literally start fire to your house just to get rid of.
No comedies I will ever purchase on Blu-ray because I don't need a crystal clear, good sounding joint for it to be funny. So most of my shit's going to be sci-fi and action. Yes, I do have the 2009 Star Trek on there. That was one of the first things I thought of. No movie does primary colors, I guess, the white backdrop better than that movie does. And it also, like you said, sounds great. Like anytime you get any of the different color shirts together, especially on the bridge, man, everything wonderfully contrasts.
It just pops.
It really does pop, yeah.
Yeah, that movie is beautiful. I'm still very upset at people that don't like that movie. My next one, Interstellar, is on my list because that
was
movie
almost on my list.
That Interstellar is a gift to the gods. From our second Lord and Savior, Chris Nolan. It's just a beautiful film. It's just a good, long, hard sci-fi movie that also happens to be just completely beautiful. Should be watched, I contend, only in complete darkness.
Wait, I was not thinking of Interstellar.
You were thinking Inception.
No. But I can't remember the title, so it doesn't matter.
Dunkirk?
Dances with Wolves, I think is what you were thinking. And my third movie is, of course, you should know what it is by now. It's Blade Runner 2049, man. That is the most number one, hands down, beautiful movie ever created of all time. Hard stop to me. I will defend that movie until the day I die, which, according to Brian, somewhere in the next 2 years.
Yeah, probably. We're doomed, guys.
Oh, well, I mean, all of us. Okay. I thought you were just talking Daryl.
No, not just him. Not just
well,
everybody.
I mean, we saw Endgame, so I'm good.
Yeah, we should actually try to die before Phase 4 starts.
Just go out on the highest note possible. And then everybody else gets up to heaven as we're waiting around like, you really should have stuck around for Black Widow, man. It was wild.
We really actually missed the window because what we should have tried to do is time it so we went between Endgame and Rise of Skywalker. But the window's shut now.
The Mayans, they were close but not quite. All right. All good choices, everybody. Our next joint comes from Duquan Grady Swent, a.k.a. Seed 2.0. He says, this month's adventure shall be top 3 fictional characters that you'd have a beer with. I love this question.
That's a good question.
Love this question. Jermon, why don't you kick this one off for us, sir?
Top 3 characters that I'd have a beer with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right off the bat.
Sparkling water.
Well, yeah, something from the flavored water section of Walmart.
Right off the bat, like Han Solo, like hands down, like he's just like he just seems like one of those dudes. Like you want to sit around with him and just have some beers and just just shoot the shit. And he's probably got a lot of great stories to tell. Like just being around him with that swagger and everything would be something else.
Yeah.
My second choice to have a beer with Jules Winfield, like from Pulp Fiction, just like to be able to sit there with him and just hear him go the hell off, like just being there, people watching alone would be enough with him because he's probably talking mad shit, like, and then every now and then he would get that moment of clarity where he starts like getting kind of philosophical and everything.
that's not what I came to have my beer for, Jules. All right, let's get back to the shit talk.
Then he gets up and goes to the bathroom and comes back and orders another drink, and we're back in it.
Yeah, we're back in.
And number 3, and this seems kind of weird, but Superman. Like he seems like ever since I saw that scene of him in Superman 3 where he like
I was gonna say.
Yeah, where he's like in the bar.
Sitting in the bar. Yeah.
Like just to see him in that element, like because there's certain people where you're like, I wonder what he'd be like if he was drunk.
I feel like drunk Soups would still just be like a chill, mellow dude. Like I don't think drunk Soups gets rowdy.
He wouldn't be sleazy as hell.
He wouldn't be a sleazy dude. I think he'd be like me. Like I don't get really violent or angry at this or that. I'm just mellow and goofy, and I feel like that's what Soups would be.
He'd laugh a lot. Hey, you need a ride home, man? No, we're good. We're good. We don't need it.
Yeah. All right, that's a fine list there, sir. I'll go next with mine. Han Solo, also on my list. Not because of the stories he tell, but I know if we just sit there long enough, some shit's gonna get wild, and I'm caught up in an adventure with Han Solo.
Somebody's gonna get shot.
Somebody's gonna get shot. As long as it's not me, then I'm on board. I'm with it. As soon as that first blaster bolt goes off, I'm like, give me a gun, give me a gun, give me a gun. Number 2 on my list, Tyrion Lannister. You can't have a list of fictional characters to drink with without talking about Tyrion Lannister. So you're gonna get some witticisms that probably when you actually think a little bit more about it, it's just all the most surface level witticisms, and it probably all just bullshit. When you finally sober up, you're like, wait a minute, everything you just told me was bullshit last night. That's Tyrion Lannister to me. And then of course I wake up and all my sacks of gold are gone. He's probably stolen Leslie and ran off, and who knows what else. No, all right, that's good. And Peter Dinklage listens to this show. You just hurt his feelings.
You didn't say Peter Dinklage. You said Tyrion. There's a difference.
That's true. And my 3rd is Jessica Jones.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yet again, some shit's going to happen, and I'm trying to be there when it happens. And after that shit's going to happen, some other shit's going to happen. This is a family show. Leslie, what are your 3?
Mm-hmm.
I know what to tell you. I'll apologize afterwards.
So starting out, I went with Kvath from the Game Chronicles. Same reason as Jermon. He would tell fantastic stories. If not, he'd be snarky as hell about anyone that was around that he didn't like. It would just be fucking entertaining.
Even if he didn't tell fantastic stories about himself, he'd just make up some shit on the spot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Second, I did not go with Han. I went with Lando.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I will enjoy myself because he will be charming as hell.
He's also the kind of guy who would probably buy you drink after drink after drink and then leave you to pay for it.
I'll make sure that doesn't happen. I'll talk to the bartender ahead of time.
As long as
You're
you make
sitting there
sure.
arguing with the bartender, like, why would I order 15 Colt 45?
As long as you make sure you steal one of his capes, you're all right.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then third, I went with Captain Marvel / Carol Danvers, because she's just fucking badass.
Just going around blowing up jukeboxes all over the place in different bars. Who paid for that?
It would be awesome.
All right, very nice, very nice. Okay, cool. And that way, Jules Winfield can take off his wig, and you can tell it's actually Nick Fury at the same bar that she's there with Captain Marvel. Brian, what are your three?
Well, my first one is in honor of my dad for Father's Day, and because he said he always wanted to have a beer with this character, and I don't disagree. Hellboy is my my first pick. I think you'd get some deep conversation there. Like you'd walk away from that having discovered something about yourself. You know.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of sad drinking, but it's going to be really introspective and deep. The next one is Marion Ravenwood.
Yeah,
that's gonna
that
be
curly-headed dude who just falls off the stool.
Like, yeah, you may end up in a hospital bed before the night's over.
She's definitely drinking you under the table. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the third is another Star Wars character nobody's mentioned yet, and that's Obi-Wan Kaboozy himself. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who we know is a boozer, because the first thing he does in Episode 2 when he enters a bar is go for a drink. They're on a mission, and he stops to drink. That is something only an alcoholic would do. But every time he goes out for a drink in a Star Wars movie, somebody loses an arm. So, I mean, that's going to be pretty exciting.
There you go. There you go. You get cats and cantinas, bars all over the place.
Yeah. So those are my three.
I like it. Well done, everybody. Well done. Let's move it on over to Shannon Jewelry, one half of the Shannon Scott combination, the shorter half. She says, you get to make a movie about any secondary or background character. Who is it? Got any ideas about casting and directing? She wants to do a Ridley Scott movie, and then she also wants to put it within the Saw franchise, which I think.
Jesus, tell how you really feel.
God!
Yeah, I think she echoes most of America's sentiments with the fact that we don't really like Ridley Scott.
I feel like you can get confessions out of serial killers using that method. Forcing them to watch Ridley Scott in a Saw movie.
Anything goes. All right, Leslie, you want to kick this one off?
Sure. I went a sort of Harry Potterish route. I want to cast a film about a
Lee Jordan?
No. A young Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris.
Oh, man.
And this would be based off of a theory that my best friend Michelle and I came up with, where Mrs. Norris is actually a human that's been magicked into a cat. She was married, they were in love, they wanted to run away together. The spell went wrong, she's stuck as a cat. He lost his magical powers, which is something that ties into the books but not the movies, as a result of that. And so that's why they have such a bond in the books. So I would cast Harry Lloyd as a young Argus Filch, Imogen Poots as the newly married and unhappy Mrs. Amelia Norris, and then I would have it directed by Alex Garland, because I love the feel of like Annihilation, and I want it to have that same sort of magic-y but kind of creepy feel, so that it's not too similar to the more child-focused Harry Potter movies.
And you said Alex Garland. That means that shit's gonna be depressing as fuck.
I mean, she turns into a cat for the rest of her life.
I'm
okay with that.
If what I see on Twitter is true, then many people would find that something to aspire towards. Brian, what is your go-to there, sir?
Okay, so my movie is going to be about a competitive eater living in New York. It's going to be like pretty dramatic. It's going to start out kind of like the Chariots of Fire of hot dog movies. This guy is training. It's a movie about faith and love. It's a serious drama. There's relationship problems in it. This man develops heart issues and slowly sort of starts to become like the wrestler. And he goes out just pigging out at an eating contest, and he dies at the end. And this movie is going to be directed by Jason Reitman. It's going to star Jonah Hill, and it's going to be titled Ghostbusters Origins Slimer.
Slimer?
Brilliant.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Well
And
done.
that's going to be the twist. Like, you don't know what it is until like the end of it. It's like the title's going to come up, Ghostbusters Origins Slimer. It's like, oh shit.
It just got real. Oh, man.
I just got Shyamalan in real life watching this movie. I thought this was a sequel to Up in the Air.
That's amazing.
Well, but that is amazing, sir.
I like it.
I am going to I'm going to go with the Robin movie, and I'm going to pick my favorite of the Robins, Carrie Kelly.
Oh.
So we're getting a Carrie Kelly Robin, played by Sophia Lillis, the Bev from It Chapter 1, because our young Carrie Kelly is a redhead. And throw those goofy-ass 3D glasses on her, and boom, there you go, you're good to go. And yeah, she's right about the right age. And this is going to take place in the Snyderverse, where Ben Affleck is our Batman, because you need an old grizzled Batman to have that Carrie Kelly Robin. So Zack Snyder is going to be there to produce, not direct. It's going to be directed by a young fellow, you might have heard of him, called Joe Johnston, who gave us Captain America: The First Avenger, and he gave us The Rocketeer.
And Jumanji.
Okay.
And Jumanji.
Joe Jumanji Johnson.
That's the Joe Jumanji Johnson.
I always call him and Mighty Joe Young. Did he do Mighty Joe Young? I think he did.
Mighty Joe Johnston. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna have that. He's good at adventure, right? I think you can clearly say between Jumanji and Rocketeer, like swashbuckling adventure is something that he can get down on, and that's kind of what I want this movie to be, like a fun, lighthearted, with all of her weird, crazy slang that you can't exactly tell what the fuck she's talking about at the time. Ace the Cloak. It's gonna be called Ace the Cloak, by the way. And there you go, a Carrie Kelly Robin. And Jermon, round us off here. What you got?
Oh yeah. Okay. So, of course, there are lots of different, secondary characters and background players that you see within the MCU. And, there's a lot of ripe fruit to pick for, side movies and different characters. And, I kind of want to go off into a new genre, though, that the MCU hasn't touched before. I'd like to see almost like a mockumentary, like a sports mockumentary on the life and times of the streetball legend Jonathan Pangborn. Kind of see his rise in the streetball ranks or whatever. Of course, his eventual fall when he when he gets paralyzed. When he gets paralyzed the first time, and then his mystical journey and his comeback. And then his fall, it's like the rise and fall of Pangborn.
It's gonna be like that Michael Jordan documentary that just did, right? Yeah.
The Last Steps.
Of course, it's going to have Benjamin Bratt in there. Benedict Cumberbatch is Stephen Strange when he first refuses to treat him. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is going to be his mentor. Of course, Chiwetel Ejiofor is going to be in there as Mordo at some point. And it's gonna be sad because you're gonna see him kind of help training him in the mystic arts to get back on his feet, and then of course we know what eventually happens between the two. And I would have a documentary of that nature. I'd probably have somebody like Spike Lee direct it.
Okay, is it gonna be called Justice for Pangborn?
It's probably either that or the Rise and Fall of Pangborn.
Oh, Brian, why did we not see this coming?
I don't know. I should have known. As soon as I saw that question, it should have been like, well, that one's obvious.
Oh man, that is wonderful. I'm glad I saved you for last on that one. All right, let's keep it on a moving here, man. The other half of the Shannon Scott combination, Scott Self, hits us with this, as always, lengthy introduction. After ditching his role as a stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder, Harrison Ford took the mantle of Jack Ryan from Alec Baldwin, and then Ben Affleck took it from him, and Chris Pine took it from him, and John Krasinski took it from him. There are plenty of examples of this happening. Pick one franchise and declare your favorite actor in that role. For him, it's Sherlock Holmes. He says been played by friggin' everyone, but when it comes to choosing who, he says Basil motherfucking Rathbone.
I just want to really say thank you for not saying
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But
They've
yeah,
been playing
Basil
some Basil Rathbone Sherlocks on Pluto. I saw over the last month or so, and I also caught the RDJ one at work the other morning. It was playing. I had it on mute, which I don't mind those. They're good enough. I'll kick this one off. For me, I'm going to go with, of course, the Batman. And my favorite of the Batmen is Christian Bale. I think it seems like I can't really think of anybody who has a good balance of Batman and Bruce Wayne. It's definitely not Christian Bale. He's a good Batman. He's an okay Bruce Wayne, but that's partially because you don't get a whole lot of Bruce Wayne in that trilogy. It's definitely mostly Batman focused. I think Val Kilmer
he's
was
good
a
at
great
channeling
Bruce Wayne,
that sort of that Bateman-esque persona from American Psycho into Bruce Wayne, especially in the social gathering scenes, when he's out with women in Batman Begins and stuff. And I think he plays this foppish playboy kind of pretty well. But
yeah, I think he channels that American Psycho definitely in that scene where he's trying to insult them to getting out of the madness who can fight Ra's al Ghul's goons.
Oh yeah.
That's the scene right there. It destroyed your legacy, shot. So, Mr. Jackson, who you got?
I also chose Batman and also chose Christian Bale. I really liked his. I loved his take on The Dark Knight. He really got that kind of tortured soul thing down. I think the series definitely shined when, especially his interactions with Michael Caine's Alfred. Because Alfred was basically his voice of reason. It's look, you can't keep doing this forever, dude. This is self-destructive, and you're going to die at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I like kind of their back and forth because Christian Bale really brought home that fact that he is obsessed with his never-ending crusade, and it's got to end at some point.
Yeah, I think he's really the only Batman that we saw that kind of had a termination point.
Yeah.
All the other ones, I feel would have just been Batman for as long as they needed to be Batman. He had a reason to not be Batman anymore, and then that reason got blown up. Leslie, what? Who would you go with?
I went in a completely opposite direction. I went with the Joker.
Nice.
And I also went with Heath Ledger.
All right, Brian, you got to bring this home with the Alfreds, man.
I went with Heath Ledger. So I grew up watching the Adam West Batman, and the whole show is goofy. Cesar Romero was good, but the whole show was campy. Jack Nicholson was, the second Joker I saw when I was younger. And he was charming and had that whimsical aspect to him and still creepy. But Heath Ledger is just chaos incarnate. He's scary. He's completely unpredictable. And that is what I find the most terrifying about the Joker. So yeah, Heath Ledger.
Nice. I like it. All right, Brian, bring us home, man. Don't you say James Bond.
I went in a much different direction. I am not going to say James Bond, but I am going to say M from the James Bond movies.
Nice.
And I don't know if the person I'm picking is Judi Dench as M. I think M is sort of just there as this facilitator a lot. But Judi Dench came out and M is suddenly 10 times more interesting. And I think that two things that really define that character for me. I mean, I think she was really good throughout the Brosnan era, but the fact that Skyfall is really like she's the Bond girl in Skyfall, more or less. And she gets a really, really great send-off. But when I watched that movie the second time, I was with a group of friends in Vienna, and one of our friends was from
Adele.
Britain.
Oh.
She was from Britain, and she was like moved, like legitimately moved by M's death in Skyfall, and she was just walking away. It's like you need to understand how much that character means to Britain, you know, like as far as her portrayal of it, it's like she couldn't even think of like an equivalent of what like our like pop culture would be. I guess to her it's kind of like when Tony Stark died in Endgame, you know, like to us it's like this thing. It's like, wow, you know, she was like really upset about it. And I was like,
which is
you know,
crazy because besides Skyfall, she's got like 5 minutes in this movie, 9 minutes in this movie, and then The World Is Not Enough. They kind of beefed her up a little bit.
She was at Casino Royale a bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they definitely beefed her up when Craig came on board.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Judi Dench as M.
I like it. Boom. All right, moving on. Melissa Boris, a woman too good for this world. She said, "I'm a sucker for big on-screen romantic gestures, especially if they go horribly wrong." Got any favorites? Hers is from Crazy Stupid Love. Steve Carell trying to win back his ex-wife and builds a fake mini golf hole in the backyard to remind her of the first date. It's all about to work, and it all goes to shit in spectacular fashion, which I have not seen. And she said she will not give spoilers because there's a big plot reveal in this scene. Well written and well executed is what she said. Brian, what do you have for big on-screen romantic gestures?
I am not a sucker for these. So
nope.
This was a tough one. First, as far as romantic gestures that went in a completely bad direction, I was thinking like, well, Who Framed Roger Rabbit really kind of entirely happened because Jessica was trying to keep Roger employed.
Yeah.
But so that didn't go so well. But the one I went with like a legitimate romantic comedy movie where I could remember sort of the gesture that came. It didn't really go spectacularly wrong, but it was, I did enjoy it. And that was the big Knicks City Dancers finale of Trainwreck, where Amy Schumer and the Knicks girls are all dancing together to try to win back Bill Hader's character. I appreciated it, one, because there's a bunch of dancing basketball cheerleader girls, but second, because it's kind of this reversal where it's like usually the guy making these sort of like bold attempts to win somebody over, and in this one it was Amy Schumer, who often feels like one of the guys, but you know, I liked it. I like that.
All right, right on. I have not seen Trainwreck.
It's been a while since I watched that.
Oh, okay.
It was a good movie.
It's good. It's not bad.
Take your word for it. Jamont, what you got?
You know, I meet myself, personally, I'm not the biggest on rom-coms, but there is literally only one that I can halfway tolerate, and that's Hitch. And,
okay.
And I think my favorite gesture, coming from that was basically like when, Will Smith and, he's supposed to be the date doctor or whatever, hooking up, guys with women and stuff, makes like a matchmaker or whatever. It's funny to see it because it's kind of ironic seeing him go on these dates with Eva Mendes, and they're just going horribly wrong. Like, I think their first date, they go like jet skiing or whatever, and they end up at the Statue of Liberty. And it seemed beautiful because, they go in there and I guess they see all the little list, all the immigrants that first came to America. And some of her relatives were amongst those. So I guess he did his research and, found that out, and he thought it would be a beautiful moment. Then out of nowhere, she just breaks down and cries and runs away. Or whatever. Turns out like they were like murdered by some kind of serial killer or something.
Yes.
That was that moment where he's like, that's not how I pictured this going in my mind.
That is my favorite part of that movie, is that scene.
Yes.
Yeah. Good call. Good call. And anybody else, that probably would have worked, but not her.
Yeah.
Leslie, what is your big on-screen romantic gesture?
I ended up going with another Heath Ledger role. 10 Things I Hate About You. He has this scene where he steals like the mic for that they use for announcing for games and stuff on the football field, and he gets the marching band to start playing Frankie Valli's Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, and he's serenading Kat and like running across the bleachers and ends up getting chased by like school security and stuff. It's hilarious. It is fantastic.
Right on. Good call. Good choice there. And I will go ahead and round this out with, I think, as all the guys have said, not a huge fan of the rom-com, so I went a different direction.
Are you going to pick? Can I make a prediction here?
Go for
the
it.
Scene where Joy hires the prostitute to stand in as a body double in Blade Runner 2049.
And I thought about it.
It's funny. The same thing happened in what was that movie? Her or whatever was Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah. Yeah, and then that Stanton lady would go on to be your next Terminator Dark Fate. She's in the movie, right? Yeah. No, I went with Iron Man 3, the giant ass plush doll that Stark buys for Pepper Potts. I'm still not sure what that animal was supposed to be. It was a bear or a bunny or
a bunny, I think.
Yeah, with the arms just horrifically placed as giant boobs right there, and the fact that he has to ask her 3 times whether she likes it before she finally admits that she doesn't like it. Unfortunately, nothing good came of that as the Mandarin came and blew that place all to hell. But yeah, that is my favorite of the on-screen gestures that go horribly wrong. Also, something I would do if I had money.
Sadly, I think the worst of that was towards the end where he finally blows up all his suits for Pepper or whatever. Then come to find out, he turns right back, like, because he's basically like, I'm retiring as Iron Man, and turns right back around. It's like,
yeah, that's the worst gesture out of that movie. I'm going to waste billions of dollars right here for you.
And then still be Iron Man.
Waste more billions to build all those suits up again. Thanks, Pepper. All right, 2 more left. Let's keep this bad boy rolling. We have Brett Ledbetter, formerly of Thirsty Nomad fame, and he says, what fictional character would play you in a movie about your life? Not the actor, but the fictional character. Leslie, what fictional character would play you?
So I had a couple of ideas. One inspired by you the other day, Grace from Will and Grace.
Yep.
And then I thought, well, maybe Willow from Buffy. And then I decided to go in a completely different direction and chose fucking Blanche Devereaux from the Golden Girls, because she would be so over the top and fantastic.
All right.
It would be hilarious and ridiculous.
Right on. I can get down with that. Blanche is my girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. I'll go next on this one. There's only one person that came to mind for me at all. It came to my mind immediately, and I was like, well, no more need to think about this question. This character is a proven actor. When he fooled the townspeople into thinking he was kidnapping himself, I'm talking about Sheriff Bart from Blazing Saddles. He will definitely be the guy who plays me in the movie. Cleveland Little playing Sheriff Bart playing me. He is my favorite character out of that movie because he keeps things fairly cool under pressure. Luckily, that character is smart enough to defeat Mungo. I'd like to think that maybe I would as well. inventing the candygram, which the bitch of it was. They wouldn't even give him credit for it.
That's good.
Javon, who you got?
I had a very tough time with this question, like, because I can't think of any. I can't really think of any fictional characters that would A, even look like me, or B, like kind of encapsulate my personality or anything like that.
Oh,
So
I had one off the top of my head for you too. Quick.
Yeah. Tell me that in a second here. So I chose a character that would make my life story very interesting, because I don't think my life story would be very, like, there's not a lot to make a story out of. So I chose Luis from Ant-Man.
Okay.
Just having him just tell my entire life story. Like, he would punch things up so much.
All right.
You hear that jazz music start off? It's like, oh, man.
Yeah. And then Jamal was robbing 5 guys. It wasn't 5 guys. It was 3 guys. Okay, it wasn't 3 guys. It was 1 guy. It wasn't 1 guy. It was someone asking them for change.
Complete unreliable narrator.
To me, sir, I think there's only one character that can play you in a movie, and who I think might also punch things up. And it's a character you may have heard of called Pootie Tang.
Oh! Man, how'd you sleep on that one?
Yes, I'd say. Sign your pity on a running cat. All right, Brian, what you got, man?
Well, I wanted to pick somebody who is, got a sardonic wit about him, enjoys snack food, and still feels kind of alone, even though he's got a very tight-knit family around him. And I'm going with Alf.
Good thing to know that Brian loves the cat.
I think Alf, because I would eat cat if it were presented to me in an edible form. I'd try it once, but more than anything, and Alf playing me in a movie surrounded by humans just seems like a winner right there. Like Alf as Brian, not Alf is Alf in.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine us being at the Queen City PodQuest and, like, it's the 3 of us and Alf sitting there?
Oh my God, that's Oscar caliber material.
Yes.
Alf talking about knowing the specifications of a YT 1300 stock like Corellian freighter.
What if the 4 of us did that with each of our individual characters?
Oh, so we would have gotten 9th place out of 5 places.
Yes. I think we would have
Is
gotten
this
the
a
popular
performance
vote
art thing?
Yeah. Who were? I mean, we were all the ones that dressed up on theme, but forget those guys. And speaking of Brian, man, he himself submitted a question this month. A fairly good one, I would say. He said, "What's your pop culture opinion? What's a pop culture opinion, preferably a spicy take, that you used to have but later changed your tune on, and what made you change your mind?" Do you want to kick it off there, Brian?
Yeah, well, so I was. This kind of came to me the other day because I just, for whatever reason, remembered something I said probably 15 years ago, and there was a movie, and I'm trying to remember what the movie was right now, but Anthony Hopkins was in this movie with Ryan Gosling, right? Do you guys remember what this movie was?
No,
not ringing any bells.
It was a movie with Ryan Gosling, but anyway, and Fracture was the name of the movie. And we're watching the trailers for this, and I was like, people are going to come see that just because Anthony Hopkins is in it.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and this is what I said at the time, I was like, I don't think people realize, I think when they think that Anthony Hopkins is like this really, really talented actor, they're just thinking of Silence of the Lambs.
I still say that.
Because I couldn't think of another good performance of his ever. And as I aged and saw some more of his movies, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. He's certainly a good actor who deserved more credit than that. Now, I think the general public still is hanging on to Silence of the Lambs more than anything else. But that's not really because of him. It's because of them. So yeah. I think I was a little bit wrong-headed with that, because I was in the camp that, like, Anthony Hopkins isn't that great. And I actually disagree with that at this point.
I think Anthony Hopkins is a perfectly serviceable actor. Like
Who
everything
was great in Silence of the Lambs.
he was great in Silence of the Lambs. Everything else I've seen him in, I'm like, I mean, all right. He's good in Westworld season 1. You know, he's pretty decent in I actually do kind of like him in Man in the Iron Mask, though. He brought a little bit of life to that role, his old ass. But all right, they did do it. It's a good job. I'll go next. And I'm not sure if this is the spicy take or not, but when it first came out, I was like, boy, Gangs of New York fucking sucks. And I maintained that and you're looking at 2004, 5-ish, somewhere around there, I do believe. It wasn't until 2017, 18, and I watched it once a year, every single year, like clockwork. To like, what am I missing? What don't I get? Because people fucking love Gangs of New York. And then one day I was like, oh, Gangs of New York is dope as fuck. I don't know what happened or where the switch was. I will maintain the fact that the third act is a mess in that movie. You got Leo trying to kill Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis knows it. Bill the Butcher knows it. He has multiple opportunities to kill Leo, instead only fucks with him to stretch out that little bit of dramatic tension there, which still rankles a little bit. But yeah, go back and rewatch Gangs of New York if you haven't in a while. It is technically a Scorsese gangster movie, but it is not like any other Scorsese gangster movie. I think people tend to think he just makes the same gangster movies over and over again, but each one has its definite different flavors. Like Goodfellas is definitely not Casino. It's definitely not The Irishman. It's definitely not Gangs of New York. It's definitely not Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
So yeah. Go ahead and check out Gangs of New York again, man. It's been a while. And just whenever not Claire Danes. Who is that?
It was Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz. Yeah, whenever she talks, just close your ears because she's not a great actor.
To this day, I'm like, what the hell is Cameron Diaz doing in a Scorsese movie?
Yeah. Because was she coming off of something about Mary Mask? So she's on a bit of a
and
roll.
Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels. Yeah, I think
she was big.
I can't remember if that came out before or after Gangs of New York. But she started out with some heat. And then we all caught on about the same time that, she just kind of looks good. And she's serviceable for the role. But she's not a great actress, especially when you stack her up in like Charlie's Angels with Drew Barrymore, who's a dope actress, and Lucy Liu, who's also a very dope actress. She did not shine. Hate to see it. Leslie, what spicy take do you have? What level 3 spice are you bringing? Bring that aioli to the table.
That fancy mayonnaise. Well, I originally had a spicy book take, but if we're sticking with film, after there goes my brain.
What was the book take?
The book take was related to the Wheel of Time. And it sort of flipped. My initial take was that I really liked Perrin. He was great, interesting, and Fail was kind of shitty and annoying. And then through my rereads, my point of view is pretty much flipped, because Perrin starts out really knowing who he is in the first book, and then his whole journey is just struggling with his identity and using the wolves.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have anything to do with them unless he needs them for information or to die for him. And that pisses me off. And then there's the whole plot line where Fail gets kidnapped by the Aiel.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also supposed to be like 15, so keeping that in mind, yeah, she is childish initially. She is annoying, but she shows real growth. She goes through that kidnapping. She becomes more of an actual leader. She starts to understand her own pettiness and works to change, while he gets completely obsessed and starts cutting dudes' hands off to torture them for information after being told that that wouldn't actually do anything. And it didn't actually do anything. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
kind of shitty.
He's kind of shitty. So you ended up where I started out at. I was like, boy, this guy's wholly uninteresting. And by the end of it, I was like, oh, he's wholly uninteresting.
Yeah. Movie take was that Hayden Christensen was not a bad actor for the second two Star Wars prequels, and it was all due to bad writing and directing. That was my spicy take. And now I just think it's all three.
Yes. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Yes. See, I'm flipped on that. At first, I was like, "Oh God, he's just a shitty actor," and then I came to realize, "Oh, it's also shitty writing and shitty directing as well, and it's also Hayden Christensen."
Part of that was that I think Natalie Portman is a really good actress, and those films did not show that. The dialogue was awful, and so I thought, well, if Star Wars can make her look bad, then he's probably not that bad either.
I think the only
we saw Jumper.
Yeah, that was the moment. I think I saw that and was like, he is not a good actor after seeing Jumper. But I think the only person that really came out of that those prequels looking like they were halfway acting was Ewan McGregor.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what made people love him.
There's a handful of people in those movies that were really putting some effort in. I think Ian McDiarmid put some real work in on episode 3.
I was just going to say Palpatine, yeah.
Chewing every piece of digital scenery he could.
Oh, God, yeah. He'd been waiting for, 6 years at that point to just really be able to let, like the cackling Emperor that we get when he's fighting Yoda, that's just Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah.
Finally happy to do something.
Yeah. He's loving it.
He's loving it. He loved every bit of that shit.
The fact that he had to actually age into that role was something.
Right?
They're like, Ian McDiarmid's coming back as Senator Palpatine. And I'm like, oh, isn't he like 142 by now? I saw him in something recently. And I was like, he's not dead yet. But apparently, Ian McDiarmid's still ticking.
He made Return of the Jedi when he was like 32.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
He must have had 13 kids and unpaid bills and stress in his face. It wasn't lightning, it was stress. Space support. All right, Germain, bring us on home, sir. What's your spiciness?
I thought for the longest time, this is, from coming up watching movies, especially during that period in the 90s, I thought Sylvester Stallone was not a very good actor at all.
Mm-hmm.
I had like at that point, I just had after those string of just flops he was doing left and right, and looking back at some of his career, I was like, dude, what the hell is he doing now? This is just not very good at all. But the movie of his that really turned me around on him as an actor was Rocky Balboa, that sixth Rocky movie. Man, he really put some work in. I know everybody jumps to Creed, because he was nominated for an Oscar for that role. But seeing him in Rocky Balboa, which, in hindsight should have been just the final, the fifth film or whatever. Yeah. Especially I think because during being film week, I think you'd asked about sports movies and the speeches in a sports movie. That speech he had with his son. And in that scene where you're talking about how hard you get hit and getting back up, I was like, man, this dude is really putting in work.
Yeah. The thing I think that's most frustrating about Stallone, his career, is you see the first Rambo, and Stallone puts in work in the first Rambo. And then just a wasteland of mediocrity. And if the first Rambo was mediocre, then it would just be expected. But then if you saw what he's capable of, and then you saw what he was putting out, that's where the frustration was. And then he finally got back up to Rocky. Rocky 5. And then he gave us Expendables, so he just went right back down to the...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like he's only, for a long time, he was kind of typecast in this one type of movie, and the Expendables really doubled down on it. I mean, but I guess they can't all be Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Oh, stop that! Stop that!
Or Oscar.
Oh.
I like that one.
I do love me some Tango and Cash. Other than just a little bit of work that he gets in Guardians too, I'm like, oh, that's right. Sylvester Stallone can fucking kind of act.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call. And that wraps it up, man. That's all our questions. Javon, what have you been geeking out on there lately, sir?
So as it's been documented, I am still trying to whittle down my stack of comics.
I want to point out that comics weren't on sale for 3 months.
Don't judge me. But no, I've been getting into this series, this new series from Image called Excellence, which has been like really good. It's about these these black magicians or whatever, and this one guy, he's kind of like one of the greatest magicians of that group, and his son is now just coming of age, and he's getting his first trials, and it kind of goes through what he's going through, being under the shadow of his father and trying to come up as a magician.
Yeah, that first issue is pretty damn dope.
Yeah.
Good call, sir. Good call. Brian, what you been geeking out on lately?
Also on the comics kick, because comics haven't been coming out regularly, I've gone back to some things that have just been sitting on the back burner for a little while, mostly digital stuff. And there was a series, it started in, I want to say 2012 and ended in early 2015. That
called
Brian
Jonathan Hickman's Avengers.
Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin did together. It was all digital, called The Private Eye.
Yeah.
And I had only ever read about half of it, and I decided, okay, well, let's just go back in and read all of that. And it was really interesting because I'm in the middle, about 2/3 of the way through it now. And last weekend on John Oliver's show, his entire big talking thing was about digital surveillance and like face recognition software and stuff like that. And I thought that's really interesting that it's timed right now, because Private Eye is really showing a future where we see the outcome of what all of that looks like, where people leave the house in masks and costumes and things to avoid detection. Anyway, it's a story that I didn't finish a few years back and got back into now, and it's available for whatever you want to pay for it on panelsyndicate.com. So check it out.
Have they ever done it in
It's
print
free if you're a cheap bastard, but kick some money their way and download those issues.
BKV definitely deserves that. Speaking of comics, have finally surpassed the Bendis Avengers milestone, the 232 issues. Oh, thank you. Woof is correct. 232 issues, 2 years to run through that bad boy. And I'm not reading another superhero comic for many, many months.
It's like getting out of the bathroom and like the toilet wouldn't even flush.
Pretty much.
It's like I was in there for 3 hours. We're just gonna have to call someone.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt. There was a massive sense of accomplishment reading that final issue. To that end, because I am taking a break from superheroes, I am going to finally delve into Y the Last Man.
Ooh.
Speaking of Brian K. Vaughan.
Man.
Yes.
Yeah, you're in for a treat.
I'm in for a treat is what I hear. I read first.
Sorry, I was going to say that's one that I started and never finished.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, God. The ending is just wrenching. It's wonderful.
Yeah. We read the first volume for ABC's TPBs with Ninja Dave. But that's been some time now, so I'm going to restart that from scratch all over again and plow my way through that. Maybe by the time I get done with that, I'm also going to knock out the back half of Fables as well. So when those two things get done, then I will start the great Hickman Marvel binge.
Oh, boy.
And yeah, that's going to be a whole thing. Now, Leslie.
Are you doing Fantastic Four at all?
I'm going to start with Secret Warriors.
Secret Warriors is up first. And
then I'm going to go to Fantastic Four, then the Ultimates, and then his Hickman Avengers run, and then maybe I will finally delve into Dawn of X at that time. So I'm going to try to plow through this as quick as possible so I catch up to all the X-Men shit. Leslie, what you got? What are you geeking out on over there?
I have been binging the hell out of Hannibal, so I'm really late to the party on that. But it recently got on Netflix, and I decided, I've heard good things. Let me check this out. And damn, I stayed up until like 1 a.m, 2 nights in a row when I had to work the next day, and then stayed up until 2 a.m. last night because I didn't have to work, and only decided to go to bed because I knew Daryl would be getting up for work. However, I did not make it into bed before he got up, and he surprised me walking out of the bedroom door.
Yeah.
The craziest thing when you're watching Hannibal, you could get probably several episodes in and not even realize that shit was on like NBC. Like it was like,
wow.
It was not like a FX series, or it wasn't like on HBO. It was on N-fucking-BC. Like
Damn.
Insane, right? Like it's not the kind of show that ends up on like a major broadcast network.
No, but I love it. I love Mads Mikkelsen. I love Hugh Dancy's performance. It's Lawrence Fishburne. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And you also get some Zoe from Firefly, and I've forgotten her name.
Zoe. Gina Torres.
Yeah, Gina Torres is in there. Gillian Anderson is in there. Like, it's great. It's great.
Oh.
If you haven't checked it out, check it out.
And
unless you don't like, murder and gore and stuff, then don't
Did you watch
out.
Silence of the Lambs? You know that one movie you liked Anthony Hopkins a lot in? That sat well with you. Hit Hannibal.
Yeah,
Yes.
Pour yourself a nice Chianti and watch yourself some Hannibal. And that's going to do it for this episode of Choose Our Own Adventure, man. We'll be back next month, as always, with 6 more of these, man. We'll be in the back half of 2020, or as I am calling it now, 2020 Season 2. And we will ride this bad boy on out to December, all things considered. And until then, take it easy, and we will see you next month.